Welcome back to the Divorce Chronicles. I'm Shauna Warden, a certified divorce coach and co-parent coach. Today, I'm trying something new. I'm doing a solo episode. Normally, I interview a guest that works as a professional expert in the divorce field, but I figured today it'll just be me. So there's something that's really been weighing on my mind and has been coming up in a lot of my client sessions that I want to talk to you about, and that is the fairness or lack thereof in divorce. So today's episode is all about fairness. And I want to just start with a story from a listener. She wrote in. She said, a while back, my ex changed the locks on our lake house. Just like that. No warning, no conversation. The weekends that I used to spend there as a family with my husband and my kids were over. Done. Vacations during the summer, jumping off the dock, roasting marshmallows, having late night story times. Those would never happen again. I brought it to my attorney, thinking it was the biggest injustice in the whole case, that he could decide just to change the locks and never let me in there again. I didn't even get to say goodbye to the house. I thought she was going to hear this and be as outraged as I was. And you know what happened? She didn't even blink. That was the moment that something clicked for me. Fair was never the standard. Not in court, not in this process, not anywhere in divorce, honestly. So I hear this from clients pretty frequently, and it's a big part of our coaching sessions is to talk to them about the fairness of divorce. And something that I have to explain to them over and over again is that divorce is not fair, even if you get 50-50 custody, even if you get bought out of the house, even if you get spousal support, child support, even if you get 50 of the retirement. It's not fair. There are going to be things in your divorce that are not fair. Co-parenting is not fair. You guys are not going to get equal time with the kids. You're not going to get every milestone and every picture and every opportunity as each other. And that hurts because when you had those kids, when you were pregnant and giving birth and starting your family, you never imagined that you would be having to split this child with another person. So when things come up where you are expecting to be included and then you're not, it's a big blow to your ego, to your motherhood. And you're not really prepared for that because in your mind, you thought that you would be at everything. And I know it's not a comforting thing to hear from someone to say that the whole process isn't fair, but I want you to think of it as more useful than co-parenting. And this is what I mean. I see clients get stuck all the time, sometimes for months, on one single unfair moment, whether it's a schedule change, a decision that's made without them, something small that becomes the big thing that they can't stop thinking about. You know, maybe dad gets all of the holidays or the majority of the holidays this year because that's just how the cookie crumbled this year. But then guess what? Next year, you'll probably have the majority of the holidays. Let's say they chose a vacation that piggybacks on their regular custodial weekend. So their 1 week vacation really turns into 10 days. And your vacation didn't end up that way. So yours was only 7. On paper, that's not fair, right? But we have to learn how to reframe all of this, or else you're going to become this bitter person who is just keeping score and getting all of this hurt and rage built inside your body with nowhere for it to go. And so I want you to just think about when these things happen, it's not that the thing doesn't matter. It's just that fighting about it or fighting it doesn't actually get you anywhere. So going back to that lake house situation, here's the truth. Whether she fought about those locks being changed or not, she was never going to get those weekends back. The weekends with the happy family as a unit are never going to happen. The summer vacations with, the 4 of you is never going to happen. And if you're in the middle of a separation and you guys are still figuring out the details and the lake house is up in the air, just think about, do you want to be in a space that your ex still occupies? Do you want to be somewhere where you're not welcome? Do you want to be somewhere where, who knows, like, have they put cameras in the lake house? Are they watching you? Can they show up at any moment to interrupt your vacation? I wouldn't want to be somewhere that I have to be hyper vigilant, because the whole point of separation is and divorce is building a new life and getting away from the patterns that this old person had you living in your old life. And if you think about it, in the divorce, both of you are not getting this lake house. And so the end result is that probably the other party is going to get the lake house in this situation. So if you have to start living without this lake house, and this is just an example, fill in the blank for whatever fits for you. You have to start training yourself that that part of your life no longer exists. So if you're not getting the lake house in the divorce settlement, start training yourself now to realize you're not going back there, right? Go vacation somewhere else. And I understand, like, that sucks and that's not fair. That's the whole point of what we're talking about. But if you're not getting it in the long run, is it worth fighting over now? Because really what you're fighting for is your sense of control, your sense of security, right? You don't want the other party to feel like they can just call the shots and they just get whatever they want and you just have to deal with it. I understand that. But you have to just be really careful about what you're fighting over. And I really just want you to think of, is what I'm fighting over worth it in the long run? And what are my long-term goals? Right? And so let's get into that a little bit more. Let's zoom out, because it's not just about the lake house. It's showing up everywhere in divorce and co-parenting. The school year splits, like the holidays, they don't feel even. Like I said, maybe the other parent gets that holiday 2 years in a row. Like, one, I've had to calculate, okay, how many Halloweens am I going to miss of my child's childhood? Right? And it's not fair, right? That we have to miss all of these things. So let's take the Halloween, for example. If I know that I don't have my child for Halloween, what can I do so I can still get that experience without fighting the system? So I take them to, trunk or treats last all of October where I am. I'm sure it's the same way where you are. Take them to a trunk or treat or to some sort of Halloween festivity that year that you don't have them. So you still get to do the costume buying, and you still get to see them dress up. You still get to take them around getting candy. How can we work the hand that has been dealt to us in our life and make it work and not make it feel like we're missing out? So the next time you catch yourself in one of those moments, I want you to trade the question. I don't want you to ask, is this fair? I want you to ask yourself, does this serve my long-term goal? And so let's talk about that a little bit more. Let's say that your co-parent changes pickup time last minute. Again, like maybe this is a pattern that they keep doing. In this time, it's genuinely inconvenient, right? Sometimes it doesn't matter. Like if they're 5 minutes late and I'm just at home watching a show, does that really matter? No, not really. But if I'm waiting for my child to come home and they're 10 minutes late, but we have somewhere to be and we were supposed to leave 5 minutes ago, that's inconvenient. And now you're making me late, and that's not fair. There's that word again, right? And so the old question, is that fair, leads you into an argument about the principle. The new question, does this serve my goal, might lead you somewhere different. Okay, maybe your goal is to keep calm in front of your kid when your co-parent agitates you. Maybe your goal is to give that co-parent less of your energy than you normally do. Maybe sometimes it's really worth pushing back, but now you're choosing on purpose. You're not just reacting to something that's unfair, because if you're going to react to unfairness every time it comes up, you're constantly going to be reacting and fighting and getting stirred up. And that's just not healthy for anybody. It's not healthy for you and your nervous system to be constantly agitated. It's not healthy for your kid to see you upset all the time. And it's not healthy for your co-parent. I mean, they might enjoy it, but why give them the satisfaction of you getting upset every time something doesn't go your way? If it's a high conflict dynamic, they probably love seeing you get that way, and they're going to keep doing these things that they know that upsets you. So, and we don't want that, right? And so we want to shift. We don't want to be passive. We don't want to just let everything go. That's not what I'm saying. I just want you to make sure that the things that you're fighting for are actually moving you forward toward what you want, not just the things that feel like a win in the moment. And so let me bring up another client story for you to kind of highlight this. When I first started working with her, she came to me so overwhelmed, so stuck in this cycle of, she came from an abusive relationship. So she has a lot of trauma that she brings from that. She is a single mom now. She has moved out of the area. She's having to deal with the attorneys, the guardian ad litems, child psychologist, therapist, her ex, the schools. I mean, she's dealing with a lot, and her way of dealing with it or feeling like she had some sense of control was to send everyone involved like hundreds of documents trying to prove her side of the story, or paragraphs upon paragraphs, even, to her co-parent over a simple custody exchange or school event. And she just was emotionally reacting to every single thing that her ex did, because so much of it felt unfair. You get out of these abusive, toxic relationships thinking that's the end. And sometimes it's just the beginning. And it's even more traumatizing than when you were actually living with this person. And so she wanted everyone to see the truth of what was going on. And so fast forward 6 months, right? We've been working together for a long time. She had court last week, her custody hearing trial. You know how she walked in? She walked in calm, prepared, and organized. And let me tell you about what changed. We really did a deep dive on what is your end goal? What are you trying to get to? And are these communications getting you there? Are your pieces of evidence highlighting what you want to highlight? Do you think the way that you're communicating with everybody is working in your favor? And we really started focusing on less is more, less reaction, more intent, right? And that really helps you shift the frame around of how you communicate, what you communicate, and who you communicate with. Because, me as her coach, yeah, lay it on me, vent, tell me everything that's happened, right? That way you feel like you're getting it out of your body. But then we're not taking everything that you told me and communicating it to the ex, communicating it to the attorneys, because that's not the place, right? You have to figure out, where is your safe space? Where is it okay for me to dump all of these emotions of unfairness, or this isn't the life that I wanted, etc. And then from that, let's pull out the pieces of what matters, of what we're going to try to change, and then address the people who need to hear about it with the pieces that they need to hear. Over the next few weeks, we're going to talk a little bit more about this, but I wanted to start planting some seeds here because if you're in the thick of it right now, still fighting for fairness, still needing everyone to see how unjust everything is, I promise you there's a different way through. And it doesn't require you just to accept unfairness, but it does require you to stop making fairness the goal because divorce isn't fair. Co-parenting isn't fair, but this episode was about what to do instead. So thank you so much for spending this time with me. If this one hit home, I'd love for you to share it with someone who's still stuck fighting for fair. I'll see you next time.
Thank you for tuning in to today's episode. If you're navigating the challenging journey of divorce and need personalized guidance, I'm here to help. As a dedicated divorce coach, I can support you through every step of the process, providing the tools and strategies you need to rebuild and thrive. Visit my website at shaunawardencoaching.com to book your appointment today. Remember, you don't have to go through this alone. Together, we can turn this difficult time into a new beginning. Until next time, take care and stay strong.